सभी को करीब 7 मिनट का समय दिया गया है। हमारे अध्यक्ष हैं श्री हर प्रसाद दास। श्री हर प्रसाद दास पेशे से ब्यूरोक्रेट हैं। आप उड़िया और अंग्रेजी के एक प्रख्यात लेखक हैं। उनके नाम 25 से ज्यादा किताबें हैं, जिनमें कविता संग्रह, गद्य, साहित्यिक आलोचना और अनुवादित रचनाएं शामिल। He has authored 2 epics, Desh and Vamsh, as well as a monumental history of Odia people. He is the recipient of the Sahitya Akademi Award, the National Award, and the Murti Devi Award, the Bharatiya Gyan Peeth, others. I request him to kindly make his opening remarks. Shri Hara Prasad Das.
Distinguished hosts on the dais and ladies and gentlemen. It's an incredible opportunity for me to chair this session. It's not only to listen to poetry, but to communicate to you a larger context, which is hovering over all of us. Should poetry be written? Should poetry be written the way we are writing it? Is there any way in which we could perhaps change our idiom and come on our... And above all, are we careful of the context in which we are writing the poems, poetry? Increasingly, I find more and more poetry is imitating a self-imitative cycle, which is a vicious kind of cycle which needs to be broken. For instance, if you read a dozen poems in English, you feel that English poetry written in India perhaps could have been different. If you read a dozen poems of Hindi in contemporary Hindi literature, you would suddenly find there is a repetitive refrain of something which you have already heard. Similarly, for Odia or for any other language for that matter. Is it so that we have not been break through a stranglehold which has been keeping us limited to a particular idiom we call modern? In other words, have we discovered what exactly is Indian modernity? Have we known how exactly the craft is to be employed in our sort of compositions of poetry, verse, or new writing, or whatever you call it? All of you might be knowing in 2022 or 23, I had an encounter with 2 volumes of best American poetry with 100 poems each in each of the volumes. I think it might have attracted your attention that has been edited by a Red Indian. A Red Indian editor of American poetry, contemporary American poetry, 100 poems. And you'd be astonished to know that 68 out of that are products of creative writing course. In the process, I got the answer to the question I was trying to find an answer to. The question was, why is it that the poems are reading similar? Not by failed poets how to write poetry. So most of the faculty members of the creative writing courses, I did a small study through my American friends. They have failed as writers and they are now professors of creative writing course teaching how to write poetry. In the process, you have an idiomatic similarity, which is uncalled for. If you have seen the latest issues of
पर मन तो मन है, इसे कौन समझाए। वो तो चाहता है पास रखना हर यादों को संजोकर, इसीलिए तो सजाता है एक शहर, यादों का शहर, जहाँ हर उस शख्स का बसेरा है जो मन को प्यारा है, जहाँ रहती है मीठे मीठे पलों का बेझिझक आना जाना, जहाँ जब चाहे सजता है खुले दिल से यादों का मेला, जहाँ टिमटिमा उठते हैं दिन में भी अनगिनत सितारे और अनुभूति कराते हैं मन को उन खास दिनों की जिसे मन भुलाकर भी भुलाना नहीं चाहता। धन्यवाद।
Now we have Ashwani Kumar, who writes in English. I wouldn't call English as Indo-Anglian any longer. I would call it English poetry from India, because it's one of the Indian languages accepted by the Constitution. So, Ashwani Kumar is poetry in English. A few words about your vision, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
2 poems, preferably.
धीरे धीरे उम्र के साथ थोड़ी ऐनक की ज्यादा जरूरत पड़ती है सर, तो थोड़ी ऐनक को संभालता हूँ. देन आई विल कम बैक एंड जस्ट गिव मी अ बिट of late. You know what I'm trying to do. I'm also trying to, if you look at my new series, I'm trying to experiment with what they used to call Anglophone poetry. I live in Bombay these days, and for last several years, almost like more than 2 decades. And I will come back and talk about a bit on about my new book, Map of Memories. But of late, Jayanda Namaskar and Purushottam Ji Namaskar. So I'm writing on ragas. So those who are familiar, Dhananjay Ji is professor of English, and Purushottam Ji, our legendary literary critic, and he's here. So ragas, so Scroll has done my new series where I'm experimenting with the body, cadence, and the language of English as such. So the first poem that I'm reading is a short poem, and you can read the Scroll where you will find my ragas best. And I'm sharing a guilt of late. This poem is special for me because I'm remembering Aga Shahid Ali, 2002 in America, in New York. Even in Konark Festival, I mentioned that this is also my guilt that I could not meet him when he was struggling with the cancer, and one of the finest poets of contemporary generation. So this is for Aga Shahid Ali. Raining Rag Shuddha Kalyan is the title of the poem. The sky is lit up. The sky is lit up by blue lightning flowers of insurrections. Dark brown golden clouds suddenly burst over the parched sea, burning with the salt of my youth. Breathless, I dig remains of burnt syllables of her language and slowly retreat into hidden jukebox. Why is the land of priests and prophets? Why is the land of priests and prophets busy settling stone age disputes in poetry? There is nothing left of ancient prejudice. The earth is covered with vermilion, huddle around the lanterns of sorrows, sorrows. The aging spring and autumn shyly mate in my wounded eyelids. A restless, rebellious melody softly disappears into pair and choral bodies of memories. What makes her wait? What makes her wait? I'm filled with desires, but I have no experience in love. My old town sinks in the river of blood, meandering through the famished rice fields, and I grieve, like the fragrant camphor in Rag Shuddha Kalyan. What could I give her after this if I were you? Thank you very much.
Before you read this next poem, just 1 minute intervention. Now you heard him reading a poem on Suddha Kalyan. Now, the question which I have for Ashwani, which has to be kept in mind is, ragas themselves, the explanations of ragas in our classical music has been equally poetic. I think the only thing that a poet can perhaps do is to connect it to his existence as it is now. Ashwini's connection with Suddha Kalyan, the way he did it, does make us think that many of the things that we have left behind can perhaps be recreated through the medium of poetry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwini.
Thank you,
Proceed,
thank you.
proceed with your next poem.
Yeah. Purushottam ji ke liye. This is a new book and this is a series I'm editing in collaboration with, it's a rare collaboration that we have managed to do with Sudhir Patwardhan, the iconic painter. So 5 paintings, 5 books are out. On the Women's Day, I was remembering, Priya Sarukai, Sukrita Paul, Veena Sarkar, me, and others. So this is a series, a collaboration. Bombay is a city where English as a poetry take deep roots. And it's the longest poem, so I will read only 2 sequences, just for a feel and flavor of also my new language. The last 3 decades I have been writing. So you can see how I'm migrating across languages and landscapes. So this is map of memories. Also anticipating my last body of work soon this year. The title of the poem is An Imaginary Map of My City. The poem is actually a series of symbolic, semiotic, and semi-autobiographical narratives about idea of memory. It goes like this. Whether or not it is true, but whenever I look at my body and its circumstances in the city, I feel I am a biographical puzzle. I have to repeat this more than once. There is a strange flavor of rain in my city. It tastes like garlic omelette. Don't be surprised. I came to the city. I came to the city on a camel. My parents gave me no name, only a hyphen. Always spelled wrong, and I have been jailed 5 or 6 times for pronouncing my name wrong. Now garbled verses and engendered wonder. It's late in the night. It's late in the night. All that remains is the sound of spiders and squirrels picnicking in the forest of fossil beneath the cherry blossoms. How can I make her understand that my city is on the brink of extinction? Next sequence. Often I waste the whole day. It's about Bombay. Often I waste the whole day in the shadows of mutilated stainless buildings, breaking and peeling off at the edges like cactus leaf. An unripe coconut falls on the ground. I hear a frightening sound of extra vowel, of false metaphysics of the genesis of universe. I hide myself, around me, neither truth nor untruth, only empty spaces of serpentine silence. Who is this God of creation? Who is this God of creation we pray to? After many years of living in the laundry bags, an unknown semiology swallows me slowly, slowly. Light gray indus cigarette burns. I'm surprised it does not burn my adult fingers. Is it fertile? Is it really futile to give back to cities of caffeine, medicinal, and mediocre histories they do not deserve? in the crimson cow dung spring. I take my sisters for afternoon marble games in the zoo. They blush over the sight of elephants kissing each other. Instantly, my sister Nargis falls in love with naked baboons playing piano for the visitors. Her rose-tinted eyes light up when she sees bones and hides of suicide bombers preserved in the basement of Bhauji Blood Museum. I remember her asking, why can't I turn into monuments of dead dolphins? Imagine the substance in bronze box of chocolate cherries. It is forbidden by law, Nargis. I told her. Now and then I could hear her giggle softly to herself on the way back. My brothers go to the hanging gardens at Malabar Hill, watch matches of Afghan wrestlers pounding their opponents like poppy seeds. It's Valentine's Day in my city. All the beaches are filled with sugar-coated, each other at the edge of hedge funds like a tired turtle. I bend on my knees to make love like everyone else. Heavy metallic baggage of my past breaks my spine. A new awareness of her undisclosed flesh like her second skin. It smells. It smells like the blood of refugee in my city. In desperation, I stuff my mouth with burnt, syllables of an alien with a mob of castrated lions on the Worli promenade. Everything is falling apart like the asylum camps. Does it sound magical or superficial? It is Sunday. Last sequence. My mother is sleeping in her coffin while it snows. I call my carpenter's wife, come and meet, come and meet. A city without evildoers, the tasteless watermelon dusklight slowly deposit in my lungs like a stained rainbow. Can't you see? I am permanently trapped in her insurgent body. Thank you very much.
Before I call the that will be Davendra Kumar, Hindi people that we have heard one poem from a photo poet. One from a book. Skip in even Bodoland. So Bodoland remains integrated to mainstream India through the misery of womanhood, which it tries to explain in our poetry. But I thought Bodos have come through a trial by fire. They have come through a hell of a period of a revolution in the contemporary times, and they have a lot to write about. And the contemporary Bodo poets, the Bodo movement was of a different timber altogether. Now they have become tempered, they are now different, and I think return to romance and innocence is also one of the traits of contemporary